Story 1. It was a Tuesday evening, nothing special. My parents were out of town for the night, so I had the apartment to myself. I was sitting on my bed, scrolling through my phone, eating chips, doing what any teenager does when left alone. Our room had changed recently. My parents had bought a new wardrobe, a tall sliding door closet that went almost to the ceiling. It was narrow, didn't take up much space, but it made the room feel bigger somehow. The old cabinet was gone. Everything felt cleaner, more open. There was a shelf at the bottom of this new wardrobe. Empty. Large enough to fit me, and I'm not small. I remember looking at it when they first installed it. A dark, hollow space. Nothing inside. I didn't think much of it. It was just a closet. I fell asleep around midnight. Normal night. Nothing unusual. Then I woke up. No reason, no sound, no dream, just awake. You know that feeling, right? When you wake up in the middle of the night for no reason, and there's this primal instinct that tells you something is wrong. Like your body knows something your brain hasn't caught up to yet. I lay there for a moment. Everything was quiet. I told myself I was being paranoid. I got up, went to the bathroom, came back, and got under the covers. I was just starting to drift off again when something shifted in my chest. That feeling, like someone flipped a switch inside me. I opened my eyes. The closet door was open, just a crack. I stared at it. My heart started beating faster. I told myself I must have left it open. Or maybe it didn't close all the way. Old house, bad hinges, something like that. I closed my eyes, tried to ignore it. But I couldn't. I opened my eyes again. The door was open wider. Not by much, just a few inches, but it was wider. I sat up. My mouth was dry. My hands were shaking. I told myself to stop being ridiculous. I got out of bed, walked to the closet, and pushed the door closed. I stood there for a second, staring at it. It stayed closed. I went back to bed, pulled the covers up to my chin, closed my eyes. I didn't sleep. The next morning, I woke up late. Sun was coming through the curtains. Everything looked normal, safe. I almost convinced myself it was nothing, a bad dream, a trick of my tired brain. But I couldn't stop looking at the closet. I got out of bed, walked over to it, stood there for a long moment. Then I opened the door and looked inside. Nothing, just the empty shelf at the bottom. Dark wood, dust. I was about to close it when something caught my eye. On the shelf, 4 marks. Dark, smudged, like something had pressed into the wood. I leaned closer. They were footprints, not human, too big, too wrong. And at the end of each print, deep scratches where claws had dug in. 4 giant paw prints, with nails that had gouged the wood. I stared at them for what felt like 5 minutes, maybe longer. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. My brain was trying to find an explanation. A stray cat? No. Too big. A raccoon? We don't have raccoons here. Nothing. The marks were fresh. Whatever made them had been in my closet last night, while I was sleeping. My parents came home that afternoon. I told them what happened, showed them the marks. They didn't believe me. My dad said it was mice. My mom said I had a nightmare. They cleaned the shelf and put boxes on it. I never saw the marks again. But I remember them. Every night. I remember. I still live in that room. I tell myself I'm brave for staying, for not running. But every night, before I go to sleep, I check the closet. I make sure it's closed. I make sure it's locked. I've never seen it open again. I've never heard anything in the night. But I know what I saw. I know what I felt. And I know that whatever was in my closet that night, it was big. It was strong. And it was watching me. I still wonder, was it already in there when I went to sleep? Or did it come in while I was lying there pretending not to see the door opening? I don't know. I don't want to know. All I know is I lock the closet every night now. And I never, ever look inside.
Story 2. I was 13 years old, walking home at night after being out with friends. Safe neighborhood. Nothing ever happened there. I still can't believe this happened to me. It sounds like something from a movie, something that happens to other people, not to a kid walking home from a friend's house. But I swear on my life, everything I'm about to tell you is exactly what happened. I grew up in a nice area, safe, quiet, the kind of place where kids stayed out until dark and parents didn't worry. That night, I'd been hanging out with friends all day, lost track of time. By the time I started walking home, the sun was down, streetlights were on, a few cars here and there, nothing unusual. I was maybe a 10-minute walk from my house. I knew every street, every alley, every shortcut. I wasn't scared. I was just a kid going home. I noticed it about 5 minutes into my walk. A large white van, plain, no markings. It was behind me, matching my speed. When I turned left, it turned left. When I turned right, it turned right. I told myself it was nothing. Maybe they lived nearby. Maybe they were lost. Maybe I was being paranoid. But something felt wrong. I decided to test them. I walked up to a stop sign. The van slowed down behind me. I turned right. They made a 3-point turn in the middle of the intersection to follow me. A 3-point turn in the middle of the street, just to keep behind me. That's when my stomach dropped. I made another turn. This time, they didn't just follow. They pulled up right next to me. The van stopped. The side door was facing me. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. I looked at the windows. They were tinted, but not completely. I could see inside. 2 men. Masks. Dark clothes. Just sitting there, staring at me. I didn't wait to see what happened next. I ran. I've never run that fast in my life. Not before, not since. I didn't look back. I just ran. Through streets, down alleys, cutting through backyards. Anywhere I could go to put distance between me and that van. I don't know how long I ran. 5 minutes. 10. Long enough to be completely out of breath. Long enough for my legs to burn. When I finally stopped, I was hiding in an alley between 2 houses. I stayed there for what felt like forever, listening, waiting. No engine, no voices, nothing. I took the long way home, through alleys, through yards, through places no car could follow. When I finally got to my front door, I ran inside and locked it behind me. I didn't tell anyone what happened. I was too scared, too confused. I didn't even know if it was real. I didn't process what happened for weeks. It was like my brain was protecting me, keeping the memory locked away. But then it came back. All of it. The van, the 3-point turn, the masks, the men staring at me through the window. I thought about what would have happened if I hadn't tested them. If I hadn't turned around, if I'd just kept walking home. Would they have grabbed me? Would I have disappeared? Would anyone have known what happened? A year later, I heard something that made my blood run cold. A house in my neighborhood was raided by the police, part of a trafficking operation, right where I'd been walking that night. I don't know if it was connected. I don't know if those men were part of it. I don't know if I was a target or if I was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. But I know what I saw. I know what I felt. I know that van followed me. I know they stopped right next to me. I know they were wearing masks. And I know I ran. I'm 20 now. 7 years later, I still think about that night. Still wonder, What would have happened if I hadn't run? Was I being crazy? Was I just a scared kid who imagined things? Or was that really an abduction attempt? I'll never know. And maybe that's the scariest part. The not knowing. The what if. The thought that I was one wrong turn away from disappearing. I don't walk alone at night anymore. I don't trust white vans. I don't ignore the feeling that something is wrong. And every time I hear about someone going missing, I think about that van, those masks, those men staring at me through the window. And I know I was lucky. Most people aren't.
Story 3. I was a teenager in the 1980s. No cell phones, no ring cameras, no way to prove what was happening, except what I could see with my own eyes. For months, someone watched me through my bedroom window. I could hear his fingernails scraping against the screen. I could feel him standing there in the dark. My parents didn't believe me. The police didn't believe me. And then one day, I saw his face on the front page of the newspaper. He had killed 2 girls. I don't know when he first started watching me, but I know the first time I saw him. It was late at night. I was in the kitchen, getting a glass of water. All the lights were off. The only light came from the street outside. We had a pop-out greenhouse window above the sink. I happened to glance up. A man was standing outside. Just standing there, looking in. I froze. My hand was on the glass. I didn't move, didn't breathe. I just stared at his silhouette in the dark. Then I put the glass down, walked back to my room, and pretended nothing happened. It sounds crazy. Why didn't I scream? Why didn't I wake my parents? Because this wasn't the first time I felt like someone was watching me. For weeks before that, I'd wake up in the middle of the night with the strongest feeling that someone was outside my window. I'd lie there, frozen, listening, and I'd hear it. Fingernails, running across the screen, slow, deliberate, like someone was testing if I could hear them. I'd run to my parents' room. We'd go back to my window. No one was ever there. They stopped believing me. So when I saw him in the kitchen window, I didn't scream. I just went back to my room. Because what was the point? No one believed me anyway. It went on for months. The feeling of being watched, the sound of fingernails on the screen, the figure in the dark. Then winter came. And with it, snow. One morning, I looked outside my window and saw them. Footprints, clear as day, leading from the park behind our house to my window, and then back again. My parents saw them too. They couldn't pretend anymore. Someone was out there. Someone was watching me. But it was the 1980s. People didn't call the police for things like that. They told me to close my window at night, to lock the doors, to not go outside alone. So I did, and for a while, it stopped. Or maybe I just stopped waking up. I don't know. One night, my parents went to a dinner. I was home alone with a couple of friends. We were getting ready to go out. The blinds were up on one of the bedroom windows. I was talking to my friends when something caught my eye. I turned toward the window. He was standing there, not in the shadows, not across the street. Right there, directly outside the window, staring in. I saw his face clearly. He looked scary, messy, and his hair was bright orange, dyed, like he wanted to be noticed. I screamed. My friends screamed. We ran into the bathroom, the only room without windows, and locked the door. I don't know how long we stayed in there. Long enough for me to work up the courage to run to the kitchen and call 911. The police came. My parents came home. They searched the yard, the park, the street. No one was there. The police looked at us 3 teenage girls, home alone, and said we probably made it up. Probably been drinking. Probably just scared ourselves. They left. My parents believed me that time. They'd seen the footprints in the snow. But there was nothing to do. He was gone. A few weeks later, I was sitting at the kitchen table. My mom had left the newspaper out. I glanced at the front page and stopped breathing. There was a photo. A man. Bright orange hair. The same face I'd seen staring at me through my bedroom window. I read the article. He had attacked 2 girls at a gas station. He killed them. The police shot him when they tried to arrest him. He was dead. I sat there for a long time, staring at his face. The face that had watched me for months. The face that had scraped its fingernails across my screen. The face that had stared at me through my window while my friends screamed behind me. He killed 2 girls, and I was supposed to be next. I've tried to find that article since. I've searched old newspapers, online archives, everything. I can't find it. Maybe it was too long ago. Maybe I don't remember the date right. Maybe it was a small story in a local paper that never made it online. But I remember his face. I remember the orange hair. I remember the way he stood outside my window, not moving, just staring. I remember the sound of his fingernails on the screen, the footprints in the snow, the way the police looked at me like I was lying. I was 13 years old. I had no phone, no proof. No one believed me until it was almost too late. And if he hadn't been killed, if he'd come back, I don't like to think about that. I'm older now. I have kids of my own. I tell them to trust their instincts, to scream if they feel scared, to run if they think someone is watching. Because I know what it's like to feel that feeling, to know someone is out there, to have no one believe you. And I know what can happen when no one listens. He killed 2 girls. He would have killed me too. So to the man with the orange hair who stood outside my window all those months ago, watching me, waiting for me to be alone, let's not meet.
Story 4. I live alone in a nice apartment, nice neighborhood, safe. For 2 years, nothing happened. Then my mailman started watching me. He found my name on my mail, found my Instagram, started showing up at my door without any packages just to say hi, just to see if I was alone. I have it all on video, the way he stared at me, the things he said, the way he asked about my boyfriend after we broke up. I didn't think it was serious until he came back months later and asked, "Is the guy who used to live with you gone?" I was home during the day, which was unusual. The doorbell rang. I checked my Ring camera. It was the mailman. I opened the door. He was in his 30s, short, thick glasses, messy, thin hair. Nothing about him stood out. I smiled, reached for the package, said thank you. He didn't let go. He just stared at me, like something was wrong. "Sorry," I said. "Do you need to take a picture of the delivery?" He shook his head. Then he said something that made my blood run cold. "I know you. I've seen you before." I stepped back behind the door. "I don't think we've met." He took a step forward. His voice got louder. "I've seen your name on your mail. I found you on Instagram. I froze." My face went white. "You are a person of interest for me," he said. "Your account was private, but you're pretty." I said, "Thank you. I don't know why." I slammed the door and locked it. I had the whole thing on video. I showed my boyfriend. He agreed it was weird, but we didn't do anything. It was just a creepy comment, right? A few days later, the doorbell rang again. I checked the camera. Same mailman, no package in his hands. He rang 10 times, waiting between each ring, staring at the door. I answered through the doorbell. "Hi, you can just leave an email. Thanks." He smiled. "I don't have any mail for you today. I just wanted to say hi." "Can I come in for a glass of water?" I didn't answer. I just watched him on the screen. He stood there for another minute. Then he walked away. 2 weeks later, my boyfriend stayed over. I left early for work. Around 10:30, my phone rang. "You won't believe what just happened," he said. "Check the camera." I pulled up the footage. The mailman came to the door. "Rang the bell," my boyfriend answered. The mailman stepped back when he saw him. They stared at each other for a moment. My boyfriend realized the mailman had nothing in his hands. "Can I help you?" my boyfriend asked. The mailman looked past him into the apartment. "Where's the small girl who lives here?" My boyfriend was stunned, then angry. "I live here too. From now on, leave our packages downstairs." He slammed the door. I watched the video 3 times. The way the mailman asked about me, the way he looked past my boyfriend into my home, the way he didn't care that someone else was there. After that, the mailman stopped coming. My boyfriend moved in a few nights a week. We never saw him again. I forgot about it. Months passed. My boyfriend and I broke up. I was alone again. One day, I was coming home from work. I walked into my building. A man was walking out. It was him. He stopped when he saw me, stared. I tried to walk past. He turned and followed me. "Hey," he said, "I haven't seen that guy in a while. The one who used to live with you. Did he move out?" My heart stopped. He remembered my boyfriend. He knew we'd broken up. He'd been watching. I walked faster, grabbed my keys. My hands were shaking. "Oh, he's around," I lied. I opened my door, stepped inside, and shouted behind me, "Hey, honey, I'm home." I slammed the door, locked it, leaned against it, breathing hard. I was alone, but I wanted him to think I wasn't. I couldn't ignore it anymore. I went to my building supervisor, showed him the videos, told him everything. He changed the policy. Male personnel are no longer allowed to walk around the complex. Packages go to the mailroom. I bought a pair of large men's work boots. I put them outside my door, so anyone walking by would think a man lived there. Then I called the postmaster, sent them the videos. They assigned a new mailman to my route. I went to the police, filed an incident report, gave them the videos. They took it seriously. I haven't seen him since. I still think about what he said. "You are a person of interest for me." He found my name on my mail, found my Instagram, came to my door when he knew I was alone, waited, watched. He remembered my boyfriend. He noticed when he stopped coming around. He was paying attention, waiting. I was lucky. I had video. I had people who believed me. I had the resources to make it stop. But I think about the women who don't, the ones whose mailman shows up at their door with no package, just to say hi, just to see if they're alone. To the mailman who thought I was his person of interest, I hope you're not watching anyone else's door now.
Well, that's all. If you enjoyed this, hit like. It helps the channel grow. Subscribe if you want more true stories, new ones every week. And if you have your own story, the one you've never told anyone, drop it in the comments. Maybe the next video will be about you. See you in the next one.